Well, it looks like the president is ready to fight with Congress to give us those DOGE stimulus checks. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to what White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller has just said.
All of us DOGE. Well, so Stephen, we're hearing about these DOGE dividend checks that would be 20% back to taxpayers, 20% to pay down the debt. 60% is left. Who gets that?
Well, the way that it works is when you achieve savings, you can either return it to taxpayers, you can return it to our debtors, or it can be cycled into next year's budget, and then it just lowers the overall baseline for next year. So in other words, you can just transfer it into the next fiscal window and then lower the overall spending level. And that means that you can achieve a permanent savings that way, and that reduces the deficit.
And when is it that people might see those checks?
Well, this is all going to be worked on through the reconciliation process with Congress that's going underway right now. As you've seen, the Senate's moving a bill, the House is moving a bill. The President has great confidence in both chambers to deliver on his priorities. I would just take this opportunity to note that President Trump has made a historic commitment to the working class of this country to fight for major tax relief and major price relief. And cutting spending, as DOGE is doing, and cutting taxes is the key to delivering on both of those promises, and President Trump is resolutely committed to doing both.
First of all, it's great that he explained where the rest of that money is going to go, because people were raising hell all over social media and rightfully asking what we're going to do with the remaining 60% of the funds. Another thing you can easily figure out from this press conference is that the White House is ready to send you checks today. However, it won't happen unless both Congress and the Senate approve such a monumental plan, and that's where things aren't so certain. For instance, this is what Speaker Mike Johnson just said during his CPAC appearance.
The president said that a percentage of DOGE savings could maybe go back to the American people in the form of what he called DOGE stimulus checks, something like 20%. How would that work?
Well, look, I mean, politically, that would be great for us, you know, you send everybody a check, but really, we have to think of it, I think, in a
That just got everybody's attention, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
I just saw everybody look up all of a sudden.
I know.
Yep.
But if you think about our core principles, right, fiscal responsibility is what we do as conservatives. That's our brand. And we have a $36 trillion federal debt. We have a giant deficit that we're contending with. I think we need to pay down the credit card, right? That's what I think we need to do.
Now, there's so much wrong with what he just said. First of all, where was this fiscal obligation when he was ready to sign a ridiculous spending bill back in December?
Mike Johnson is doing what he does best, and that's just disappointing the hell out of our movement, our people. You gotta read this article. It's right above this video. It's detailing all the dirt about this spending bill and why we don't want it. People, he's trying to do it again. This mess could get us tied up in just something we don't want. We can just shut the damn government down and let Trump get back in January and fix it then.
And does he not understand that his party won the election because people want change? They don't care so much about the old political values. They want to make sure their money is not being stolen. But he's not the only Republican lawmaker who's not fully supporting the DOGE stimulus plan. Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina has said that he believed sending checks is not the smartest way to spend savings, and that he'd rather use the savings to drive down the debt. Another Republican Senator, Ron Johnson, has said, the first use of that money needs to actually be reducing spending so we can have a balanced budget and Americans can keep their hard-earned dollars. Not only from the standpoint of not having to pay taxes, but so we don't inflate them away. Now, my question is simple. Did any of these politicians discover all this fraud within our system? Of course not. They've been asleep at the wheel for decades. It was Elon and his DOGE team that told us what was going on, and if they think they can give people some money without destroying the economy, I think we should trust them. Because, as you can hear from this lady, a lot of people can really use that money.
That he's proposing on the table 20% of that going back to Americans in checks. Now, how much is 20% of what they got? I don't know. Some people saying 8,000, some people saying 5,000, but it will be split between millions of people. So I don't know what those numbers are going to look like, but I'll take whatever it is. Thank you, Donald Trump. There is no president that I've seen since I've been on this earth that has done something like that. Trump is a man of the people. Elon Musk is working for free to help America be in a better position.
Now, Republicans aren't the only ones who don't want to give any money back to the people. Here's what Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett has said.
So no, we are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you.
Well, I guess when you have millions of dollars in your piggy bank, a $5,000 check isn't really going to make much difference for you. And besides, we all know people who have opposed DOGE will never accept the money this agency has found.
This message is for liberals and Democrats who hate Trump and Elon. If that's not you, please stick around as well because your feedback is welcome. With all the money that DOGE has found over the last 4 weeks, if we receive payments, I'm seeing anywhere from $8,000 and up per person, per man, woman, and child. I know you're going to decline that payment, right? I know you're going to opt out of receiving money that was recovered by DOGE, right? I know you're not going to accept that money because that would make you a hypocrite. You have been screaming from the mountaintops how much you hate Trump, how much you hate Elon. I don't want them in my finances. I don't want them to have my social security number. Then you're not going to accept the payment. There's no way you would accept the payment.
All jokes aside, it doesn't really matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. If your hard-earned money was stolen, you deserve to get it back. And there are even people who are saying that we should get all of it back and not just 20%.
Unpopular opinion, but I don't want a $5,000 DOGE check from Trump. I don't want an $8,000 DOGE check from Trump. I want every single dime and penny that was stolen out of my paycheck since the beginning of time that was spent on gender studies in Pakistan and Iraqi Sesame Street. I want every single penny refunded back to my account, and I want it done yesterday. It's a hell of a lot more than $5,000.
At the end of the day, I just want to remind you that all these lawmakers fully supported Joe Biden's stimulus plan, even though we all know he had no idea what the hell he was doing half the time.
Every day, constituents in my district are asking when the $1,400 survival checks are coming and when they can get help with their rent so that they don't become homeless. They are suffering and they need help now.
It is true that many of the people in this room for 4 years failed to cover the fact that Joe Biden was mentally incompetent and was not running the country.
Now, moving on, I also want to talk about what's going on with this Fort Knox mystery. We all know what kind of concerns people have been raising about this facility.
Senator Rand Paul has asked for an audit of Fort Knox to make sure that the United States gold, 4,580 tons of gold, is still in there. I'm happy to hear this, but I'm actually shocked. Why isn't this being done every year? Makes you think why we're not even on the gold standard anymore, right? What's going to happen when they find out that all 4,580 tons aren't there?
You can currently bet on what is actually in Fort Knox, whether it be gold or nothing. And I kind of feel like there's probably nothing in there. The gold is probably long gone, but gold missing from Fort Knox, 17% chance say yes. So most people probably are not assuming. So I guess yes is the gold is missing from Fort Knox. Only 17% of people think so. I feel like Fort Knox probably has no gold. There's probably gold somewhere, but not Fort Knox. Maybe not anywhere, honestly. But there's other places the U.S. government would store it. They've been trying to get into Fort Knox for years. Senators, the Pauls have tried for years.
Well, it turns out our president once again heard us loud and clear, and he's also ready to find out what's happening with our gold.
We're going to go into Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there.
Are they going to?
You know that we're going to go into Fort Knox. Do you know about that?
Sir,
that was a bad bump.
Are they going to eliminate more national security positions, civilians there?
We'll see what happens. But one of the things we do want to look, I mean, we hope everything's fine with Fort Knox, but we're going to go to Fort Knox, the fabled Fort Knox, to make sure the gold is there.
Where would the president brought up?
If the gold isn't there, we're going to be very upset.
Now, this is huge for many different reasons. This is the first time a president of our country has really raised questions about this shady facility. Another important thing is that now Elon Musk will have a free hand to find out what's been happening there for the last 50 years. Now, interestingly, our Treasury Secretary was asked about Fort Knox in a recent interview.
Elon Musk, who's leading DOGE, was talking about maybe going to Fort Knox to make sure those gold reserves are there. That comes under your purview. Do you have any plans to visit Kentucky?
And this is what Scott Bessent said.
The report, September 30th, 2024, all the gold is there. Any U.S. senator who wants to come and visit it can arrange a visit through our office.
Now, it's kind of strange because he's been pretty open about giving access to Elon and DOGE, so why would he not share those reports with Elon and the president? Well, I guess we just have to do a live stream to put an end to all those rumors about Fort Knox, and the sooner it happens, the better. Now, in other news, I'm sure you've all heard that Kash Patel was finally confirmed as the head of the FBI.
Here at the Black History Month celebration at the White House. Oh yeah. And hey, everybody here, Kash Patel has been confirmed as the FBI director.
Now, what the media will not show you is just how some Democrats reacted to this confirmation.
If you vote for Kash Patel more than any other confirmation vote you make, you will come to regret this one to your grave. I yield the floor.
And we all know how Adam Schiff feels and why he feels that way.
This is someone we cannot trust. This is someone who lacks the character to do this job, someone who lacks the integrity to do this job. We know that. Our Republican colleagues know that.
Adam Schiff is the worst criminal in Congress in the last 250 years.
And let me remind you what Kash Patel has promised to do as soon as he takes charge of probably the most important agency in this country.
So will you work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings?
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past.
So yeah, this is a good day for everyone who wants transparency in this country. And speaking of transparency, did you know that we paid $40 billion through 4.6 million credit cards issued to government employees in 2024?
What's up, America? DOGE credit card fraud. So apparently the Department of Government Efficiency has found around $40 billion that were spent on government credit cards. Now, the fact that the government uses credit cards is not the problem. The problem is that there's around 3 million government employees, yet 4.6 million active credit card accounts, processing 90 million unique transactions for a spending total of $40 billion in the year 2024 alone. So that means there's 1.6 million more credit accounts than people that work for the government, meaning that probably 1.6 million credit accounts are just fraud.
Listen, folks, this is the kind of stuff we would never hear about if Elon Musk and his team weren't posting about it on X all day long. But just telling people isn't enough, and we need to see some action or Americans are going to lose their cool pretty soon. Now, moving on to another huge story, the passengers of the crashed Delta Airlines plane were just offered a huge no-strings-attached payment for their trouble.
Delta Airlines has just announced that they are offering the passengers that were on the Toronto flight that flipped upside down upon landing $30,000 per passenger for their troubles. We know that there were 80 passengers on board, so they are prepared to shell out a little over $2.4 million. Even though I think this is the right thing to do, this honestly surprised me because when airlines make mistakes, maybe not as bad as this, they offer you $250 and a free drink voucher.
Now, this is insane because airlines usually don't give much compensation to the passengers in case of any emergency. So they obviously are just trying trying to cover their asses here because they know they messed up. But whatever the case might be, I'm just glad those passengers are getting something, even though it's not enough for what they went through. We're going to end today's video right there. What do you think about all of these crazy stories? Do you think these lawmakers should have a right to stop us from getting our own money? And what do you think we're going to find inside of Fort Knox? Feel free to share your thoughts with everyone in the comments section below. Thanks for watching today's video, and I'll see you on the next one.